kids say, "Hey, Papa, let's go to the park." I'll say, "Hold on, let me get my lights," and they're like, "Oh, geez." So every event needs something, but
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is another episode of the Scoped Exposure podcast. This is I would say, a Western Canada focused episode today, which I'm very excited about. Guests today, we were having a little bit of preamble before we were recording officially, but Avrinder has been someone that I've always, known about, and there's been a couple of times that we've crossed paths and, worked together on different things, but he's always been someone that I've always admired and inspired me when it comes to just like the way that he carries himself, the way that he's been just ultra positive, and just, with all the things that he goes on in his world, he's still making time to go to shows, take photos at shows, play in bands. So that's been something that's been really exciting. And when I thought about, selfish guests that I wanted to have on, just more so for myself than for the audience, but I think all the people listening to this will get a lot out of this episode. So without further ado, the sickest person in the hardcore scene, in my opinion, Avrinder Dhillon of Poison Seeds and First Strike and a bunch of other legendary Western Canada bands. But dude, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Dude, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it. This was cool. Absolutely. I'm going to try to talk slow because I talk pretty fast.
No. Well, that's the point. If someone really needs to, they can listen to this podcast on like 0.75 speed, and then it will sound normal.
Oh, we'll have to, yeah.
But yeah, Avrinder, I'm really, very excited. I think that there's a lot for us to talk about, as well as Poison Seeds is the newest project that you're working on and just put out a demo just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited to see where this goes, but as you know, we have to check some beverages before we get into the meat of the episode. So tell me what you're going to be sipping on drink-wise for the show today.
Well, I have it already here. It's Limca. There we go. It's like the Sprite of 7-Up from India.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a huge pop guy, but this I used to drink this tons when I lived in India, so it just brings me back.
Yeah.
And it just gives just the extra sugar I need for the podcast this morning.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's a solid first time appearance on the podcast for sure.
No one's ever nice.
For sure.
Here we go.
I'm drinking
How about you?
A Liquid Death, the sparkling kind. Nice. I'm not sure if you've had much of that yourself, because I know
I haven't. No.
Oh, okay. So yeah, like. Excuse the, for all the listeners, excuse the rambling because I've talked about this so much, but in Canada, as I'm sure you're aware, Liquid Death isn't as readily available, but the few places that I know, especially in the Vancouver area that you can get it, is 7-Eleven, as well as the Whole Foods, I'm pretty sure. That's
nice.
West Van. So
highly recommend it. I've seen the mango version too, but it's just, I'll try one day for sure.
Yeah. Well, Avrinder, cheers to you, my friend.
Appreciate
the unique bev of choice on your end. I'm stoked.
There we go. It was either this or just coffee, but I'll take this.
Yeah. Half coffee first, and then we, followed up with the Limca.
For sure. Exactly.
Yeah. So, Avrinder, any new guest that I have here on the show, I always like to get a little bit of the hardcore origin story of that person, knowing, what were the early things that kind of put you onto this music and in this culture and kind of what started you down that path. So talk to me like, very early days for you, like when you were first discovering this. And I think when I was like prepping, you were not born in Canada.
No, I was born in India and I lived in Sri Lanka for a while. And we moved to Winnipeg originally, actually, believe it or not, in 92, then moved to Vancouver, and then eventually back to Winnipeg, yeah, and then back to Vancouver. So
Yeah, just kind of going between the two. So
for
yeah,
sure,
talk to
yeah.
me about how was heavy music kind of discovered while you were first growing up, or once you moved to North America originally?
Well, I mean, it was pretty much, I mean, like Nirvana, on the radio. It was just like just a bit of aggressive music that kind of got me interested in that. And then, the whole, I would say rite of passage, then the Green Day, and then Green Day, like Thank You Notes, all the bands on there, and then the bands on their thank you list. I was just kind of spiraled to more heavy music and just wanting something more heavier. Yeah, I mean, Green Day, Hatebreed, that kind of was, I guess, the two bands that bridged the gap. Like I'm still into kind of punk, but heavy hardcore kind of had my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot in between Green Day and Hatebreed.
Yeah,
But
true, yeah.
I do think that it sounded like was it just like the aggressiveness, or is it like the guitar side of music that like really intrigued you originally?
Both bands honestly just send, I mean, actually still send chills down my spine. Like, I mean, on my Spotify Wrapped, every year it's the exact same bands, pretty much. Just because, yeah, it brings it back. There's nothing new. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Now, I guess where Green Day was the teen angst, just the angsty lyrics, and it's just the kind of just urgency of the music, and then obviously, you want to just find something a little more heavier and more aggressive, and then Despair, Hatebreed, that was kind of the like the like with the whole Victory compilation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That kind of, and then same thing, like I said, back then thank you lists, and then you would just chase down all the bands you could, and then sometimes you would take chances with CDs and vinyl, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, exactly. It's pretty much, I would just try to find all the bands I could, and then a lot of them I still listen to the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, at what point is you said you moved to Winnipeg in '92, and that was
Yeah.
probably purely for a family thing versus like I want to, nowadays people are moving to different parts of the world because of hardcore or things like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the time, it was probably just like we're just moving to a different country at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was exciting. We're moving to Canada. Of course, I'd never seen snow before, so
Right.
moved to Winnipeg. Culture shock for me, but no, I mean, exactly. And then when I did move back to Winnipeg in 2003, that was for doing recording school, playing in bands, and so yeah, like, that was the exciting time. Like that was my own choice.
Oh, okay.
And then yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting to me. So you moved to Winnipeg, and then you moved to Vancouver, and then once you moved back to Winnipeg for the second time, that's where things musically were a little bit more active for you, or were you still kind of playing in bands when you were originally there and then originally in Vancouver?
No, I mean Winnipeg. Winnipeg originally we only lived there for maybe 5-6 months.
Oh, okay.
And then moved back to Vancouver, and then what's it called? We found some friends in Winnipeg around 2000ish, and then I would kind of keep visiting until everyone kind of just harassed me to move there, and yeah, I was one of the last people from Vancouver, from our friends, to move to Winnipeg. So
interesting.
Yeah, then I stayed the longest, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Normally, it's people are like, that's it, back to Winnipeg, or they're like, I was born here. What's your excuse? You either stay there forever or you move to a bigger Canadian city is usually the
for sure.
the
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, and like I love Winnipeg. It's like awesome for like music scene, food, and people are so great. But I mean, Vancouver was always kind of calling me back. So
yeah, which is definitely some common ground for us, because that was the year before you, I guess, had originally moved, even though it was for 5-6 months. That was the year that was the year later. That was the year that I was born. I'm a '93 baby.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
So I guess you would have been. How old would you have been when you originally moved?
9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just turned 9. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like a decade on top of me for that. So that's interesting. So you were mentioning, so you moved back to Winnipeg, you start to do recording school and start to play in some bands. What was at what point were you like, oh, this is something that I either want to do as a career, or was it just like, I want to be able to have the accessibility? Because I'm like, even DIY recording has evolved so much, even in the last 5 years. So like, was that like, oh, the only way that I can do this is if I go to school and get a proper education around it, versus like,
well, honestly, I mean, to be honest, I mean, Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, for me, it was my first thought was I want to move to Winnipeg, be with friends, play, playing bands, and then I was like, well, how can I like make it more of an official thing? I mean, especially with my parents saying, hey, I'm going to move to Winnipeg. I got to do something. I'll do recording school. Like, I
Right.
can do that. I mean, I love recording. I love music. I love recording bands. I would love to. Sorry, and then yeah, I just did that, and then for a few years after recording school, I didn't do anything with recording because it was I learned on tape and Pro Tools wasn't really a big thing yet. But yeah, no, it was just one of those things where I just wanted to record friends and record myself, and yeah.
Mhm. So
hmm
you were recording on tape, which is like arguably, oh, there's no edit undo, there's no, oh, we'll just punch in
No,
here kind of thing. So like, how
yeah,
necessary was that to like build up some of your chops to, now that technology is like so far advanced, but like
yeah.
you had, you were in the trenches, like really learning how to do stuff with, a harder process to do so. How vital was
For
that for
sure.
you in hindsight?
Well, it was crucial because I mean, like you had to get it right, and like of course you could do little punch-ins here or there, but it would be just like it would be a process to like cut tape and
Mhm.
all that fun stuff. So I mean, you just had to be on point and also just make sure that you brought your A game, and but now it's kind of nice. At least you have a lot of chances to build like a nice wall of sound, and you could take your time with it. Back then, you kind of had to like you had just a limited amount of tracks you could do. But I mean, like even with the new like with the demo recording, like I had tons of tracks on certain songs, and you can only do that before.
Mhm.
So I mean, I don't know if I miss tape, but I'm down for the new way as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I
yeah.
I think, just talking about some of your recording body of work, because I think anyone that knows you now, probably knows you a little bit more for the photography, which we'll get into a little bit later. But I think a lot of the, in my opinion, bands that I was playing with or listening to when I was like getting into this stuff was like all of it or the majority of it was recorded by you. So it's like the world views, the usurpers. I think like there was like some penalty stuff in there, disillusioned. So there was just like so much stuff where it was like there the two people, in my opinion, when I was getting into it, it was like you either go record with Avrinder or you record with Brent McRae, who's like one of my best friends of all time. So it was interesting to hear the differences in that, but also just the way that you had that like raw aspect. But now like hearing it from you, where you originally were doing it with tape, that kind of pulls the curtain back a little bit more on where you like to focus your mixing and some of those things.
Yeah, no. Actually, I mean, for the hardcore bands, I would actually just record actually just digitally. I wouldn't do tape for that. Tape was just with the for recording school, and then after that, I kind of just stayed with just digital and yeah, like Pro Tools and Logic Pro.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and,
So
and also shout out and actually also shout out Brent. He's
yes.
awesome.
Yeah. Awesome dude. Also very critical with some of the releases in bands when I was getting in this stuff, the Burn Your Worlds, the Withdrawals. Yeah, he recorded the penalty demo. But yeah, it's just so funny how it's like these are the people, and then a few years go by and then things shift and change.
Oh, for
But
sure.
so you're learning how to do this recording stuff, and you're mentioning that you're starting to play in bands as well. But were the bands, when you moved back to Winnipeg for the second time, kind of the first few hardcore bands that you were playing, or were you doing a couple things before that?
I had a couple of bands. One was with Bailey, and then Jeff was all on Hollow Ground. We were called a few names: Bloodshot, and then Bleeding from the Forehead. Odd name, but anyways. And then just a couple of just fun stuff. But I mean, like we played shows with the first band.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that folded, Bailey and Justin, our friend Justin, moved to Winnipeg. And then then Jeff moved. Yeah, it was like one by one. All of our friends slowly moved to Winnipeg, and then I was kind of like the last one to make the move.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
And
seems
then
like
yeah,
there was almost like a lineup of people who were moving from Vancouver to do band stuff.
exactly. And then I was like, hey, I'm just here hanging out. Let me also do music. I want to do music. And
Right.
yeah, and then I got asked to play in Stand Strong, Like you must remember them. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were awesome. And then that kind of just didn't last long. And then Jeff and I started our first band in Winnipeg. Yeah.
The other thing that I'm realizing is you are one of the only Western Canada lefty players that I know of.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure. I mean,
was there a little bit of a hardcore has that little bit of not barrier to entry, but it's like, oh, I don't have a guitar, I can borrow my friends. But you're like, I
yeah.
can only borrow a lefty guitar. So
Oh, for sure. And like when I was young, all I had was just like just like right-handed guitars switched around. So and then yeah, like my first few guitars weren't the best just because I could either afford something that was just basic or like a Gibson Les Paul. And eventually I got a Gibson Les Paul, but yeah, it was slim pickings. There was like choice of 2 or 3 out of how many guitars at a store.
right.
But I mean, I made it work. And now, of course, there's a bunch of lefties in Winnipeg, I think.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
one of the only other few lefties that I know of who's also from Winnipeg is Jesse Weimer, who plays in
Yeah, yeah.
Meantime. So,
And
it's
he borrowed my guitar like when they played here. So it's kind of like now it's full
it
circle.
all comes full circle. Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Yeah, so you're doing a couple of these bands. What what do you think is like the most important project when you were living in Winnipeg that you were doing band wise?
I would say Hollow Ground because we actually tried to get out there and we released music, and it wasn't just like like we just didn't stay local. I know we could have been more active later on, but we definitely tried our best to kind of get out there. And like we had a good regimen. We practiced often. And we would actually try. Like that would be, I think like the most serious band I had so far.
Yeah, I think it was Hollow Ground. There was a when I was first going to like local shows in like 2007 and 2008, the name Hollow Ground was always in circulation of like, bands to check out on a local basis. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah. What were like, because I feel like you're always with at least for me, at the end of every project, you're like, oh, this experience or being able to do this level of an opportunity helped prepare me for this next thing. So like when you think of Hollow Ground, like where is the biggest like lesson when it came to just like doing music or anything hardcore wise that you took from that band?
With that, I would say I would say just collaborating with people. That taught me to just obviously play in other bands, and also with my own photography, just being just like networking and just like just keeping in touch with people, making sure the goal is reached. And of course, it was just fun, right? Just to play music and just to kind of have a regimen of, if you want to get tight with music, if you want to have results, you got to keep at it. And that's I think I was 19 when I started. Yeah, 19 when I started the band. So it was just like it was a good lesson learned. Like as soon as I moved to Winnipeg, started that band, and then and I still keep in touch with some of the people that like our old label Clint of Organized Crime. I still keep in touch with them. So it's nice to still keep in touch, and obviously
yeah. It's definitely like there's bands are for a season. Not for like, the one of 4 seasons of the year, but there's sometimes where it's like a band could live for 10 years, or maybe it's 1 year or a few months or a couple of years.
Yeah.
But, being able to keep in touch with those people, like Brent and I played in a band for what felt like 3 or 4 years, and we still keep in touch. And, there was a lot of, things that he taught me or just like helped form my perspective a little bit better when it came to heavier music. So yeah, I think that's something that's invaluable when it comes to playing in bands with people. So talk to me about like, so you spend your time in Winnipeg. What's the move back to Vancouver like, and how do you take, I guess, all that activity level and the things that you're doing within Winnipeg and apply that to when you were going to Vancouver? Was it like, I'm going to keep this the exact same, or was there a bit of like, I need, some time to find my bearings here?
Well, I mean, like to move back to Vancouver, like like around the end, I always did want to move back to Vancouver eventually. And we were, but I mean, we had 2 dogs, I had my wife, and we're thinking, when's the right time? And then my dad said, hey, he needed me to help with his work. And we found a way out, not way out, but I mean, we found, hey, you know what? This is the right time to move. We have a reason to move back. And I did miss friends back in Vancouver too. So it was nice to, it was quick though. Like we had a week and a half to tell people, hey, we're moving back.
Oh, it
Um,
was like,
yeah, yeah.
oh, it's happening. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was really quick. Like we had to jump at the opportunity, and no, it was, it was nice because I knew I would always come back, and we still visit Winnipeg a few times a year. Um, but I mean, I did miss playing music, so I've been doing, like music here or there, and since I moved back, but more seriously with the new band, that's when I was like, all right, let's actually go back to the basics of just doing like a heavy hardcore band. But when I moved back to Vancouver, like photography wasn't on my mind. That wasn't really my not expertise, but it just wasn't on my radar. And I always wanted to try my hand at it, but yeah, so it wasn't quite there yet. But music was still in my mind, and just moving back to Vancouver, being close to family and friends was.
Yeah, because I definitely saw that. I think at this time, I knew that you were you were part of the Winnipeg hardcore scene, an alumni if anything. But when I was first getting into this stuff, I was like, okay, Avrinder's someone who's from Winnipeg, partially, but also like lives in Vancouver, and that's where I started to hear like good friend of my of the show, but also of my own life, like Sean Kay, who was playing in Dissolution at the time. He would like come over to record with you, and I would see other bands like Worldview, and I think I want to say like Wasted Breath maybe recorded with you as well. But yeah, just like different little things here and there. And I think at that time it was like, okay, like Avrinder's a recording guy, but then I also started to see, the photography, and as someone that was watching from the sidelines, I guess I saw that like the quality of what you were doing was just like a lot higher than most concert photographers. So like, it's like you said, photography wasn't really on your mind, but you also do that as like a professional thing as well. So like, when did the idea of like rocking a camera come into play for you?
I was gonna say, I mean, I didn't have like I always had a point and shoot camera and just disposable cameras for shows when I was young. But and then sometimes when you would get an artsy photo, you'd be like, oh, cool, that's a fluke. But why? How can I recreate that? Then I forgot about it, and then I think Christmas of 2015, my wife said, hey, let's get you a camera. You always want to try to get something that's more than just like a cell phone photo. And yeah, I mean, got that, and it seemed like it caught on pretty quick, and people were like really stoked on the photos. So I said, hey, there's something going on here. So I would just slowly upgrade, and while it was almost a shift of while I stopped upgrading my recording gear, I would just upgrade my photography gear.
Sure.
And in the end, I was like, hey, I'm getting, not quick results, but I was learning fairly quickly, and I felt more confident without kind of trial and error with photography. And I mean, I'm still learning. Like I still get pretty embarrassing shots, but I only post the good ones.
Right.
You know what I mean? But thanks so much for that. I mean, it's something that, like I'm still trying to get the perfect shot every day. And like, it's one of those things where if the kids say, hey, Papa, let's go to the park, I'll say, hold on, let me get my lights. And they're like, oh, geez. So every event needs something, but that's just, I just have to get that perfect shot every time.
Yeah. Do you think that there's anything from your recording or your just like playing in bands, like any of those practices or habits that translate to the photography stuff, or is it like those worlds are separated for you?
I mean, like with recording and music, it does, because I would become obsessed with, like with recording. I would like get binders and just research and print all material just to learn really quick as quick as I could. And with music as well, I would just try to write, the best song I could and just try. And with photography, I'm, same thing. I would get books and I would just read up tutorials, and I'm still, like I said, I still do that. Like, I think just focusing on always being obsessed with just trying to get the best, but also having fun with it, right? Like,
right.
I have as much fun taking photos of dogs than I do at shows and, corporate shots. It's always, it's always just getting the right shot for people and capturing the right moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Was that like, it sounds like that mindset for you of always trying to better yourself and like getting getting so meticulous and nerdy about the details. Like, has that just been in anything that you've done in your life, or is there like a certain reason as to why that is for you?
I think, well, I guess what it boils down to, I guess I'm a people pleaser. I like to impress people.
Sure.
I like to surprise people. I mean, as odd as that sounds. So, like to get that positive feedback, it's, I'm like, oh, this is nice. Like, but also at the end, I just like to kind of just make sure that I'm not wasting time and make sure, like while I'm doing something, it's done right.
Right.
But also, like I said, to have fun with it, like, like with music, recording and photos. I don't want to, sometimes like with photography and music as well, like it's fun to just try stuff. And if it doesn't work, cool, move on. But with photography, it's just nice to kind of have, like, I don't have one style particularly. I don't think, at least. Just to try stuff and be good at as much as I can, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm probably rambling. I don't know.
No. It's really interesting because for someone, again, on the sidelines or on the outskirts of your life, like you have a lot of stuff going. So like to hear your, I guess, passion and your like drive to be able to like, if I'm going to do something, I want it to be good. I don't want it to be half-assed or phoned in. Like that's something that I find myself in. And I feel like I might have like less than half of the, responsibilities, like not having kids or just other things in the mix of that. But I think that's really, really cool because nothing great just comes, shipped through Amazon Prime, if you know what I mean. Like, you have to really work at these things to actually make it good.
I agree. It's it's like with guitar too. Like sometimes it's easy just to play what you know, but to learn something new and like be like, oh, this wasn't as tough as it sounded. Same with photography. Just to you might as well try. And if it doesn't pan out, hey, you can move on and you learn something from that. And I do the same with music and with raising my kids. Yeah, same thing. Just trying stuff out. No, I'm kidding.
Right. Yeah. Just trying things out with the kids to see what works and what doesn't. Yeah.
I mean, like they're survived so far, so that's good.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't think that we would talk about Brent this much on the pod because I know he's a mutual friend for both of us. But he when he became a dad, it was right around the time that we were playing in this band together. And anytime I would ask how his kids were, he's like, they're alive. Because when you're a first parent, you're like, my job is just to keep this human alive. So
oh, for sure, they're happy and alive, and they're not hungry. Good.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, it like going back to one of those points that you said, like when I started to see more of your photography stuff, it would be like, it wouldn't just be like, here's my, my fisheye lens and it's like the flat and it's like, I can just auto preset all this stuff. It seemed like you were very intentional about giving a good amount of variety, when it came to like when you were photoing bands or a fest. So like, again, was that going back to that people pleasing aspect where you're like, oh, I want to make sure I have all the bases covered? Or was it more just, again, that like, I'm not sure what my style is yet, so I'm just going to do a bunch of different things?
Well, for me, it's honestly a mixed bag of all things you mentioned. Like, I just like to have, like a big variety of things where, like at a show, I still do it where I change lenses very often. It's not just one style. Like, some people do one lens, one style, and that's great. That's, like that fits their style. But, it's nice to have, one portrait, a few portraits, a few fisheye, a few zoomed in ones. And then, as you can probably see some albums, I have, crazy lighting, all like slow shutter. And then some just like nice artsy photos. It's just nice to have it seems like a book of different options.
Right.
For an album. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you brought up a funny thing where it's like, oh, I only post the good ones, but I have seen, the bloopers
some crappy ones
at times. But, as someone that, I guess the way that I view like, people capturing content, it's like like the music that we play to, like if you zoom out to the rest of the world, is pretty goofy. Like we're all like a bunch of people that's like jumping on each other, playing this like aggressive music. But like we've made it our own thing. But I think that there is something to be said about being able to you, it's like when you post photos on the Vancouver Hardcore board and then like all the comments are just like little screen grabs of like people in the background. It's never of like,
Oh yeah.
oh, these photos are great, Avrinder, because that's all already established. But it's like, did you expect people to get that almost I don't even know what the right word is for it, but just like take your work and then like be able to like spin off of it with like different little memes and things like that? Or was that like
Happens because it's hilarious because sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, that person won't like that photo, so I won't post that one. But sometimes people catch something in the background, like like a person just half eyes open, or they look like they're crying, but they're actually singing along.
right.
Actually, what I've done before is I've zoomed in a photo, like where someone's staring at me at a show, when the photo's taken. So I put music over it. Like I feel like someone's watching me music or some stalker music. It's it's fun. Like it's like you gotta have fun with it, right? It's
right.
hardcore's fun, but it's it's not all serious. But it's I mean, people here just have fun too. So
right.
yeah, I always giggle seeing memes like that.
I don't know if you remember the photo exactly, but back in the day when Scope started, I was very meticulous about the feed and how I would upload a set. So it would normally be the first to keep the 3 post feed consistency. I would post a photo reel and then the set in the middle and then another photo reel. So I'd always reach out to people like you or other people that take photos at the shows if I could use their stuff and obviously credit them. And for a long time, our most liked photo was from when Terror played Vancouver in 2018. And there's a girl that I don't know her name, but she's stage diving onto Ravi. And Ravi is just like...
he's like it looks like he's punching her.
Well, I think he's like, he's having just like the worst day because he's just like unexpectedly trying to catch her. And I don't know, for like, I remember when I posted that and that just went forever. And just like year after year, I was like, how is this? But again, it's like maybe just those moments that you might see in the blink of an eye, but the fact that you got to, encapsulate it forever is so cool. So I don't know. It's always interesting to me as someone that has a camera in hand where people are looking for those like. It's kind of like when you watch a sitcom movie and you're not even watching what's actually happening in the foreground. You're looking at the background people and they might be doing something that you don't even realize that's just hilarious, and then just only focusing on that.
I mean, like sometimes I wonder. I'm like, should I just do crowd shots just for from the stage? But then I'm like, now let's do the band. But then maybe one or two funny, not funny, but just moments of the crowd. And sometimes you get something that's really just like I said, just capture something really neat in time. Or sometimes you just get a funny meme type photo. And either way, either way, everybody wins.
Right. Either way, everyone wins. One of the questions I had is if you have to think of everything that you've shot, is there any most cursed photos or anything that's like this just is it always gives you a chuckle anytime you look at it?
Trying to think. I don't know if it's ever like posted much, but I'll have to show you after the show's done. After I think it was a show at the Cobalt. I think it was the Bane show, the Cobalt, or Comeback Kid show. I did a bunch of crowd shots, or I would zoom in, and I've never gotten so many just funny blooper shots, like you said. Like everybody just looked because they're going nuts, but because there were some normies there and just people going off. So just seeing people's reaction in the crowd, I think I could make like a quilt from all those photos. It's just like one big collage. It's awesome.
I love the idea of just taking all these like cursed photos from Avrinder's catalog and making a blanket.
Make a big quilt. Oh, for sure. I mean, I will one day.
Yes.
Or no doubt.
Yeah.
Or just photos. I mean, of the kids, just embarrassing photos of my kids, just made into like a big book, and yeah.
Jordan,
those books are
I
new.
really want you to use that quilt comment for the intro of this episode because that's so funny. Just all these like
Oh, for sure.
stretched out faces. Um,
Oh, yeah.
okay, so you know, was hardcore and shows like the first thing that you were experimenting your camera on, or were you doing stuff prior that helped build up some chops for that? Because it's a classic thing where I've talked to other people that do this, where it's like they learned how to like be a photographer at like a hardcore show, but now they're working for Adidas or they're like doing photos for some marketing company. Like
Yeah.
was that a similar thing for you, or was it reverse?
It was kind of like, I mean, like when I was going to shows before like with the point and shoot, my dad had like a floppy disk digital camera, which again, I'm showing my age, my back hurts. So I would get practice on that, just taking photos with a gigantic square for camera. And then sometimes, like I said before, I would get some fluke shots. So I'm like, oh, okay, so this worked, this didn't. So by the time I would take my proper new camera to shows, like having control of the shutter speeds and, all the aperture, I was kind of not prepped, but I kind of knew what I wanted to look for. But of course, in the beginning, I got lucky, but then eventually I'm like, okay, why are certain shots working better than others? And then, but like I said, I'm still trying to get, different styles and different options. But yeah, it's like I was kind of prepped with taking photos at a young age with like my dad's camera. But even though I didn't know exactly what I wanted, just to kind of capture some pics, yeah.
Right. So, I've seen a large variety of different things that you've done on a photography side, whether it's like shots of your dogs just going crazy, but also I think I've seen you do some like professional work with different animal animal industry kind of stuff, but done weddings, engagements, like you've done a large variety of things. And so my question is, where is your focus now, or going into this next year? Where do you want to be either spending more time on when it comes to learning, or just doing more of photography wise?
Well, I mean, always learning. I mean, like I'm still trying to get better at every kind of opportunity photos I take. Yeah, because I think if I just stay dormant, then I'll just kind of I'll probably get bored and get lazy with photos. So just learning still, and also I always say always dog photography, because that's my favorite.
Right.
Like dog photography is always the best because you just get to hang out with dogs. But no, honestly, I think I just keep it the same. Where I'm just I know people say I should just focus on one thing and go with it, but I don't know. For me, I just like to do so many different styles, so that way I don't get bored and I just stay more active that way. So I would say more dog photos and more corporate headshots, because those are fun too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm wired kind of the same way, where it's like, people can be like, I know that if I was tunnel vision and I only was doing one band and I was giving that all my, free time and attention to, but I feel like the fact that I can like, spread myself over doing this podcast, filming bands, doing multiple bands, like it's necessary for me, and I see the correlation in I learn one thing in one area that also applies to the other thing, and I just feel like that that tide raises all the ships versus just trying to do one thing. And I do think that there's people listening to this podcast who are wired the opposite way, where they have one thing and they're just trying to iron that out and perfect it, and teach their own. But I think I'm the same way, where I need to have like my hands in multiple honeypots to be going at it.
And then actually, like my day job is also like I do school photos, so that's like that's that pays the bills. But then my creative side, and also making money on the side, is doing my own photos. So it's kind of like, I guess in a way I do focus on one thing, but it's just because it's a consistent job year after year, doing school photos, grad photos, and then I just I'm just yearning to do my own style, dog photos, show photos, weddings. So yeah, so I guess in a way, the answer is I just want to try everything,
Right.
just try everything.
So like your full-time gig is doing school photos. Is that like just like beginning of year stuff, or is like how does that happen? Is there busy seasons? I'm just kind of curious on like how you do that
Yeah.
on a full-time basis, or is it? Yeah, I'm not sure exactly the
It's
specifics
almost
there.
full time where like it starts in August where I just come back to train people, and then September to December it's just school photos, retakes, grad photos, and then January through June I'm doing like group photos for schools, retakes, and then just staff photos. So
Mm.
it's pretty much busy. Like I would say about 8 to 9 months out of the year,
Oh,
and
okay.
then yeah, I mean
Obviously,
it stays pretty
when
busy.
it's summer break, that also means probably you have a break as well. But if anything,
Exactly. I mean,
like summertime is a great time to take any contract or commission or freelance work.
for sure. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then like and then yeah, like summertime we just I mean we go for a small holiday maybe to Winnipeg or and then yeah, then we do weddings, and then it's nice to kind of have that option to just get a small like I'll say summer winter break.
Mm.
Yeah, so it gives me time to do um like now to do music as well. But yeah, it's nice to get that summer break for photos.
Right. So I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast knows exactly what I'm gonna say next. When
Oh
the
no.
photographer is, turn your head a little bit to the left and it feels super unnatural.
Yeah.
Is it partially like it actually will make the photo look better, or is it like I'm messing with you to a degree? Do you mess with people a little bit when you're telling them their head placements?
I do sometimes, so I'm joking. No, no, it's well, I mean, like
The
for
truth is out.
oh, for sure. Well, no, exactly. I mean, like for school photos and grad photos, like there's regimen of okay, like with the science of what makes like the photo looks best and
Right.
like what directions and cues look best. But for for my own photos, I just like to like make people feel comfortable. If I give a direction where it's a bit off, but it might look nice, I'd rather go with them looking or sorry feeling nice.
Mhm.
I'd rather them be themselves and also look their best instead of looking forced and looking all robotic. And that goes for wedding photos as well. I mean, a lot of people, clients say they want to feel comfortable, not fully posed. So it's nice to just be like, hey, be yourself, do your thing. I'll give a few cues, but you know yourself better than I do. But yeah, let's get some good photos and make you feel good.
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
I would, now that I'm an adult and have been out of high school for over 10 years now, it's like I would be shocked if the principal or whoever your photos get handed into is like, these kids' faces aren't tilted enough for our
Yeah,
standards or anything
exactly.
like that.
No, exactly. It's like, are they giving the middle finger? No, 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 sir. They were just crossing their arms. No, no, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, school photos, it's like almost by the book, but then like with a bit of play. But my own photos, yeah, just make them feel good and make them look good. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you had any kids that you were taking photos of that like either were just like giving you a hard time, or you're like you were just running into like issues with just snapping their their photo, and it like and you had to kind of like barter with them to a degree?
Sometimes, yeah, I just say, hey, man, we're just here. What do I say? We're just here. Just take some good photos. Make sure your parents or guardians are happy with the photos. And if you don't want to smile or whatever, it's all good. Let's And sometimes I can tell that they just want to get it over with. And hey,
Right.
so be it. All
Yeah.
right, smile, click, done.
Yeah.
But I mean, for my own photos, I mean, people do ask me and hire me to take photos. So, I know that they're coming to me because they want photos done.
Mm.
So in that sense, we have a good understanding of, hey, let's just work together. You know my style. You hired me for a reason. So let's just take the photos that you want. And yeah, but yeah, for school photos, of course, like
Yeah.
the students have to come there and they're kind of like, all right, let's get this done.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter if a kid is 14 years old or 40 years old, because
Mhm.
I've done corporate gigs where I need to take headshots or get nice candid moments of people smiling, and the moment that you stick a camera or any lights in front of them, they like just like tense up. So
Oh, for
I
sure.
have always, if I can, prioritize people's comfortability, or just like stripping down a rig so it's like a little bit less like I'm sticking a Terminator T1000 in your face. I feel like that
I
will.
was literally going to say the T1000, but yeah, there you go. You read my mind. Well, no, exactly. I mean, and I'm sure you've heard people come up to you and say, hey, man, just so you know, I don't smile. And then you go, okay, sure, that sounds good. And then they end up smiling. But yeah, so that's a line I hear often. Hey, man, just let you know, I don't smile.
Right.
I'm like, that's cool. That's a good choice. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
I
an
remember
aesthetic
in
choice.
one of my first jobs, if we were just trying to get like nice smiley kind of like footage of like corporate executives that are so like just like everyone's got to
The
stick
stiff,
up their
yeah.
ass, it would always be like just saying a really like just out of nowhere joke, usually inappropriate, and then they're just like smiling or laughing. But then
Okay.
obviously you're like muting the audio because you're like, we
Oh,
as a
for sure.
company cannot put that out. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So
yeah. I mean, like
different
same thing
tricks
happened
of
to
the
me. I
trade.
mean, I was like earlier day I was taking, or I said early when I started, I was taking photos of Good Riddance, and the singer was just, like he seemed a bit shy, a bit standoffish in the beginning. So I was like, I'm just going to bring up a question I've always wanted to ask him, about bands you produced, and then I brought up a band, and then he kind of was like, oh, this guy's not a tool. So, and then so it's like it's like for you as well, like you just have to be relatable, but also in the end, just let them know that you're going to get a good product in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
I always say if there's someone that has a bit of hesitancy, and it's never on the hardcore side, it's always on like the freelance side, because it's like I'm coming into a new business where they're just like, oh, this camper person is here. I have always said, like, my job is to make you look good, and I'm good at my job. And then they're like, oh, it kind of like eases the tension that I'm like, TMZ or anything like that. So.
Oh, for sure, exactly.
Yeah. So
sure.
This is a little bit of a topic change, but something I was kind of curious on. And it's extra interesting to me because it sounds like the photography thing kind of came later in life, but I would see you actively like, reposting or resharing things from like older years as like little throwbacks, especially when you were doing band stuff. And, we've seen a lot of more, people of color who have like entered into the hardcore scene over the years. And I remember when Ravi came on the podcast and we were chatting about like just like the amount of people that have like an Indian background or just like that skin color is like just way more minute, and just like that's a huge minority. And there are people like Sunny that definitely add to that as far as like, hey, like we exist and we're a part of this. And obviously like you and Ravi were someone that came to mind. And then when I was kind of racking through my brain, I was like, okay, like that person in that band, okay. But something that was interesting to me is you playing, it wasn't that way 10 years or so when you were doing that. So I was just kind of curious, and we can hit on this as much or as little as you want to, but was that a challenge for you when you were like starting to play in bands in Winnipeg, or was that like just like open arms, welcome, and you didn't feel like you were anything less than?
No, it was open arms for sure, because I mean, like when I got into punk and hardcore, that's actually when I first felt welcome and accepted. Where I didn't have friends when I moved to Winnipeg or to Canada for the first maybe 4 years, just because I was always made fun of for having a turban, being different. And my first friends, and they're still my best friends, are like people from the punk and hardcore scene. So I mean, so by the time I moved to Winnipeg and playing bands, it was just like, oh yeah, I mean. But even when I played in bands in Vancouver with the turban, people were like, "Oh, wow, this guy's wearing a Lucha, wearing a turban. That's different, but cool." It wasn't like, "Oh man, we got to get him out of here." So, like I was made to feel welcome, and plus, I always kind of ease the not tension, but I always just make jokes. I make fun of myself, so it's just like, "Oh yeah, he's cool. He's he's fine."
Yeah.
But yeah, so I never thought it was like, "Oh, I'm the brown guy playing shows." It was just like, I'm just swimming in a sea of white people at shows, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And then of course now there's a lot of people at shows that color, but yeah, in the beginning it was, it just seemed like I stuck out a bit, and now I'm just part of the group now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like what prompted me to ask that question is like definitely the seeing you just like riffing as hard as fuck with like some band shirt and the turban on. And I thought that was it was so cool as probably like an early just like just representation piece for people who could go to shows and be like, oh, I've never seen that before, and I think that's really cool. Or someone to be like, hey, that inspires me to like get on the guitar and figure things out, because like I can identify with that dude on stage. And
Yeah.
all like I've said it so many times on the podcast is all it takes is one person who's like just not a and I'm speaking as a cis white male, but like all it takes is one person who doesn't have that identity aspect to like really make other people like, oh, like I can be a part of this because I'm not the only person in that room who is that. If does that
For
make sense?
sure. No, no, for sure. That makes sense. I mean, same goes with me. And I mean, same Kim Tile and Soundgarden. Same guy. I was like, oh, he's brown. He has his hair down. This is sick, like literally. No,
Yeah.
but so it was like that kind of also kind of inspired me as well. Um, but it's and yeah, I mean, and then when I did cut my hair, it wasn't to be accepted. It was just, I just thought it was just time to kind of move on. I wasn't religious at the time,
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, for many years I played in a few bands here without obviously with a turban and a beard, and I just never thought anything of it. It was just my identity at the time, and yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's really cool, and I think hardcore in 2022 and into 23 is just in a place where it's like, especially when you go to like a fest where you can just see so many bands, and then you're like,
Mm-hmm.
there's like so much, just representation on so many different levels that like, ex- and I see that especially with bands that I don't know. So it's like I like
Yeah.
kind of going into a fest kind of, you know, blinders on. I didn't do any prior research beforehand, but then I can kind of see it's like, oh, okay, like you're starting to see less and less bands that just have 4 or 5 white dudes that are just playing,
Yeah.
two-step music, which I think is necessary for this thing to just keep evolving and growing.
Oh, for sure. No, exactly. Yeah. No, like there's so many bands out there and like that. And um, even my cousin in India, like he said his drum teacher, plays in this like death metal band. And it's like, yeah, there's more than just, you know, what's a Cannibal Corpse,
Right.
white dudes playing death metal. So it's nice to see that. Yeah. No, for sure.
Since finding out about this entire thing, like
Mhm.
off of the few times that either you went back to India to visit family if they're still there, or just like even talking to people, have you kind of like done any research as far as like if there's any bands from back where you're from or just that general area that you're like, oh, like I'm really glad that I discovered hardcore here so I could find that, because I don't know if I could even find it even if I never moved to Canada originally.
I'm not sure. I mean, I think if I still live in India, I would still be listening to just MTV rock bands and some like just Bollywood music.
Sure.
And I mean, like some Bollywood stuff is still sick. But no, but then visiting back, I can't capture any names, but I know I've heard some like Indian hardcore / metal bands.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't picture any, but I mean, like my cousin. I mean, actually, my cousin again. I made him a playlist. Oh, sorry, Burn City when I visited last time, and now he's all about heavy hardcore and stuff. So I'm sure he might start a band one day there. I'm not sure. But like I said, if I still lived there, I don't think I'd be listening to hardcore punk. Who knows?
Right. I know.
Yeah.
I think this band is from. I think they're from Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of the band called Whispers?
No.
I think you would really like them. They put out
Mm-hmm.
a record at the beginning of last year in 2021.
Yeah.
And they've been a band that I've been trying to get on the podcast just to have a little bit more of like that release just like actually got out of their kind of sphere and kind of hit a lot of the just American listeners. So
Oh, okay.
and it's a really dope release. So I'll send it to you after this podcast. But
Yeah, please. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Whispers.
I
Yeah.
think it's like it's just like learning more and more of like the actual density of people that are in those countries, where it's like, we just think of North America or specifically the US as like the only place that matters, but there's like arguably more people in those countries who, and even if their scenes are small, their small scenes could still have double the people that are going to a regular show. So I'm just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
more and more like, it's just these kind of conversations to make me think about like just trying to dig deeper into finding some of those, those those bands and those scenes to be able to, help connect the dots a little bit more.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like in the beginning, I would listen to more like actually Swedish hardcore metal bands than I would American bands.
Right.
And then like when they would cover, like Swedish bands would cover Youth of the Day, I'm like, oh, let me check out Youth of the Day. So it was almost, I kind of went backwards in a way. So, and because I mean, Swedes just write awesome music. I don't know, but yeah, no, it's but yeah, I mean, now this actually makes me want to go back and try to find some Indian hardcore bands.
Right.
But you know, there might be some. I mean, instead of Harmsway, it'll be Harmsway, you know, because they say V differently. But I don't know. I made that up on the spot. But no, it's cool just to try to find, you know, and like this goes back to, you know, just like the old school way of like researching to find, you know, different bands, because Spotify is one thing, but you know, to actually like dig deep and find some bands, you know, like we might not even have found our favorite band yet. Who knows? You know, it's still upcoming. So
yeah, I have a friend that I do another series of this show where we listen to like new releases from the month. His name is Jack, and they run an account called What It Takes blog. I'm pretty sure they Poison Seeds. We're prepping for an end of year show, and when we were like talking about like top demos to have people vote on, he put they put the Poison Seeds demo on there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're really about it. But and I feel the reason I brought that up is they're just so in tune with just like things that are happening all over the world when it comes to hardcore. So I'm gonna talk to them about what if they have any plugs on some Indian hardcore bands, and obviously share those things with you. But I feel like that's also a good segue into Poison Seeds. So talk to me about just the idea to start that band, the why, who's in it, all those juicy details.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. I mean, with Poison Seeds, I always wanted to kind of actually come back to kind of heavy hardcore, and because that's most fun to play, and it just comes naturally to me, I think. So for a long time, I was just writing demos at home, you know, with the computer, and I was like, okay, these are cool, these are cool riffs, but I got to do something with it. Otherwise, I'll just regret not recording something proper with a band like this. So I asked Brad to sing. Like, he sounds awesome with vocals. He used to sing in Acquitted. He played guitar in Go It Alone. And then I asked my old friend Motor to play drums because he's just a sick drummer, a good friend. He played in Blue Monday. Like he's played in, actually he played my other band, Eliminator, as well. And then when it came time to get the rest of the lineup, so for the demo, it was just us three, just Motor, Brad, and I. And I was like, and then we were recording, and I was like, oh, we should probably finalize lineup to get like a live show going.
Right.
So yeah, I asked our friends Rob and Taylor to fill in the lineup, and then release the demo, and we're like, oh crap, we got to play now.
Right.
So now we're starting the process to kind of practice. But we've already recorded drums for our upcoming EP. So I'm stoked with those. Like those songs are, I mean, dare I say seek? No, but no, I'm stoked to like get those songs out too. But yeah, I mean, we're playing our first show in March, and yeah, it's a long time coming, but I'm stoked though. And of course,
Poison Seeds, that show hasn't been announced yet.
Yeah, you are right. Now, yeah, you're right. I mean, by the time this gets released, maybe it will get announced, but it's kind of, again, loose to announce exactly. But no, it'll be cool. And that's the first show my kids are going to come to. And yeah, so I'm stoked.
A first show ever that your kids are coming to?
Yeah, they've never been to a show.
That's very, very cool.
They've heard the legends. They'll probably crowd kill and probably kick some people in the shins. I don't know, but
they're going to be the most. They're going to be the most threatening in the pit, just like.
Or I mean, like if they get crowd killed. No, I'm kidding.
No.
But
we're trying to keep our kids alive during.
No, exactly. They're cool. What's it called? No, yeah, exactly. So that's our first show, and more coming for sure soon. But no, I'm stoked. And of course, Poison Seeds. It's from my favorite band song titled "Buried Alive."
Right.
I've been trying to rip actually rip on their riffs for the last 20 years, and why stop now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you could spill the beans on the show before it's announced, depending on when it's going to get announced. And this podcast, we could drop this
Yeah.
podcast around when the show is already announced if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, honestly, I think it's any day now they're going to say it. So it's with
Okay.
Ingrown and with what's it called, with Tsunami, and the rest of the lineup, I'm not too sure. It's still in the works, so I can't speak for the rest. But yeah, that's an awesome first show to be asked for to play.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but
I would say
I'm
so.
stoked. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, that's very cool. And yeah, it's always kind of that thing where I've always been, I like sometimes when bands or when people do like one-off demos or projects off of stuff, and it's almost off of like a specific idea or like a
Mhm.
niche, but it's arguably like what's the point of this band playing shows? But I do think that the idea of like putting something together and putting it out, and that it's like, okay, we have to figure out how we do this in the live setting as well. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a very exciting first show. So
Oh, for sure. I'm
you
stoked.
you got
Yeah.
me
And
hyped and trying to figure out if I can make it to that, because I would
oh,
love
dude,
to
you
see
should make
that.
it up for sure. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think no, Spy, no, my Spy is on the rest of the lineup, unfortunately, or the tour. But yeah, no, I'm stoked, and like I've just been wanting to play a show with a heavy band again, and like what a show, but like what a first show to start with. And yeah, and I'm stoked to play our new stuff too. I'll have to show you some of the pre-pro later.
Yeah.
It's
Is
no, I mean
is
like
the
Brett.
new stuff have essentially like a continuation of things from the demo, or is there like a couple new things that y'all are working on? Because is
Well, I
this band
mean,
set up in the way where you write everything and then the guys just walk in and play, or is there like a little bit more collaboration?
I mean, not to sound like a control freak, but no. For now, it may just be me writing the drums on the program and then writing the songs, and then I mean, of course, Motor plays the drums in the studio and live, and then but Brad writes lyrics. Brad writes vocal timings, and like he kills it. But yeah, I mean, like for the EP, the same deal. But I told like Robin Taylor, going forward, it'd be really cool to collaborate. To kind of get all styles in the pot.
Mhm.
But so far, it's just been me like just trying to like not do Hologround Part 2, but also kind of just get to the next level of my as much as I can play well. I mean, I have a box where I kind of stay to, but
Right.
it's cool
You
just
have a
to do some
style.
random.
Yeah.
Exactly. A C# standard is my thing. But no, it's yeah, like I'm just stoked to play again. So I'm stoked, and it's not like when we're 20 and just like jamming multiple times a week. This I mean, we all have jobs, we have family and stuff on the go. But yeah, for now it's I mean we're doing as much as we can, and our first show's there, and the EP, I'm not sure when it will be out, but I just want to record before the songs run out.
Yeah. I think the funniest thing from the excuse me. The funniest thing from the demo that I saw is the last song on it was is called Dark Clouds, and one of my older bands had a song, and I think when you posted in the Winnipeg Hardcore, someone was like, "Oh, Locked In did this," and I was like, "Locked In bows to Poison Seeds," because I'm like, that's not a band anymore that anyone needs to be concerned with.
With Josh, yeah.
Yeah, but it is really cool to hear. And I think going back to Jack and their love of the demo is that like there are people that do that heavy hardcore style, but not in that buried alive kind of like that realm of things. So to hear something in 2022 that like plays to that is really, really interesting. So yeah, I'm excited to hear the future, and again I'm looking at ways that I can make it, because Ingrown and Tsunami are good friends of mine as well, but being able to see the collective of that, it would almost be interesting just to see you look at your kids who are watching you for the first time. Like I feel like that would be very, very wholesome.
I mean, I don't know if they're going to be like freaked out or like super thrilled.
Right.
They've seen footage, of my old bands playing, and you know, they know what like what stuff I'm into. But we will see. I mean, like sometimes I'm in the car and my eldest son goes, "Papa, play your demo. I want to hear it again." Like, oh, so. But I mean, I don't know if he's humoring me or if he is into it. But no,
Right.
it's cool that he has some kind of interest.
Yeah.
So, and plus, he'll like my eldest kid is like, Caleb. He's a World War II historian, so he will punish everyone at that show with his knowledge. So, just a warning.
Just a warning
No,
to anyone attending. Yeah.
for sure. And then my youngest one, Evan, will just talk about Simpsons, which I'm down for.
Yeah. You're raising your
Yeah.
kids right if their interest in this day and age is World War II history and The Simpsons, not
Exactly.
how do I become an influencer and get big on TikTok or anything. So
Right. Exactly.
yeah, that's good.
TikTok.
That's good parenting.
Oh, thank you. No, I mean, I do my part. Sherry does the rest. I do my part here or there.
Yeah. Shout out to Sherry.
Of course.
What was the other thing I was gonna ask? Oh, yeah. When it comes to your kids, I guess witnessing hardcore in its proper debut for the
Mhm.
first time, it reminds me. Endgame played a fest in Oklahoma in November, and Aaron, who's a really good friend of mine, he's the promoter of the fest. His son Dominic, it was his first time. It was his first time attending anything hardcore wise or the festival. So it was funny because he was just like running around and being like, "Can I have this?" And like all the bands know who Dominic is. So like, yeah, just take it. Like, don't give me money, just like take it. So I think Aaron gave him like maybe $20 or $30 to spend, but he ended up coming back with like 11 t-shirts. So so it was one of those things. But yeah, I think so. He selfishly, I think this is very cool. Is that when Endgame was playing, he stage dove for the first time ever, and it was funny because like he stage dives, and then I'm like. I'm like losing my mind because I'm so excited. And then because he had mentioned before we were playing is like, I'm gonna stage dive, but if something goes wrong, my dad says that you need to pay the insurance. I'm like, that's not happening. But he so he stage dives, and then I saw a random person. It was almost like Dom is the football, and then a wide receiver is coming in and like catches him and then brings him back to the other side of the stage with his dad. And I asked Aaron, I'm like, who is that guy? He's like, I had no idea who that person is. He just read the room. He's like, I'm just gonna be here just in case. But the a couple bands after was a really heavy slam band from Oklahoma called Peeling Flesh, and I feared for my life during that set, and I was standing on the side of the stage, but it was like the craziest pit warriors and just a very like primitive like violence that was happening there. And I talked to Dom after, and he's like, I don't understand. Because like for Endgame, people are moshing, two-stepping, but for that, people are like just animalistic. And he's like, I don't get that. And
Cleaning
he's
up the
like,
minds kind of situation.
yeah, totally. But yeah, it was just
Yeah.
it is funny to see the reaction depending on the type of music. So maybe it'd be like, wow, Dad, that was so crazy. Like people were dancing for Poison Seas, and then Tsunami or
Yeah.
Ingrown starts. It's like, what's happening? I don't understand. Why are these people
Exactly.
fighting? So well,
Why are they so mad at each other? I thought they were friends with each other. Why is that person's nose broken? It's like, it's okay. They'll figure it out, honey.
Right.
They will share that photo on Instagram. It'll be okay.
Right.
No, for sure. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, they've met so many of, my friends that go to shows, that's, like that's Uncle so-and-so, that's Uncle or Auntie so-and-so. So it'll be cool for them just to be at a show and just to see this collection of people at a show going off.
Right.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, I think they'll be into it. Yeah. Like, I don't know if they'll be lifers, but I think they'll be into it.
Not lifers, but attendees at the very least.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. Just a document. And plus maybe, sorry?
No. I was just going to, no, you go.
Oh, thanks. I was just going to say, like, maybe I'll get them to take photos and, so they can be put to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I can critique our photos after. Like, yeah, this photo's not that great.
Yeah.
That's okay. But yeah, sorry, are you going to say?
No, I was just saying, there is an aspect of this podcast that is an absolute must for us to discuss. And this is going back to Winnipeg. And if anything, you're saying, oh yeah, I visit Winnipeg to see friends, but we both know deep down the reason that you're going to Winnipeg is to go to this spot for food, which is the almighty spring roll. So for those that are unaware, please educate the listeners on what spring roll is and why it is so sick.
Shout out to Spring Roll, by the way. Please send us a gift certificate. It's this small, really like unassuming restaurant. It's on, I think, off Wall Street on Notre Dame. It's Chinese food with with a menu that has a lot of vegan options. Oh, actually, sorry, with a vegan menu, they have like fake meats, all tofu dishes. It's something that they do. It's just all the ingredients are just perfect. And sometimes I go there every single day when I'm visiting. So I know when I'm visiting in the summer, I know that they're saying, "Hey, honey, we could put that deposit down on the boat. Avi's here," because I bring all my friends there. I come every day. It's just I like to eat good food, and Spring Roll definitely delivers on that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And as someone that was born and raised there, I think I got introduced to it because I was working for a place right by the airport, which is like maybe a 5 to 10 minute drive from there. So, if we wanted to take a longer lunch break, people were like, "Oh, let's go to Spring Roll." And like, to me, it is the textbook definition of like a hole in the wall kind of restaurant. It's like, it doesn't have anything flashy on the outside. There's nothing flashy on the inside, but the food honestly is phenomenal. And then once I learned your love of it, it almost like heightened mine. And I think we've gone there together once. But it was hilarious because I think there was one time you were visiting and I was like, "Oh, I can't this day." You're like, "Well, I'm gonna be there back tomorrow if you want to come by." So I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, look,
Avrinder
I'm like,
actually lives
guys.
by the spring roll." Like, I would argue that you're spring roll's #1 fan, if anything.
If I could, I would fly into the top of the building and just stay there. Like I tell friends that I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna be there anyways. If you want to join me, cool. If not, I'm there anyways."
Yeah, like you, in my opinion, are unofficially Spring Roll's #1 fan. Like, anytime
Oh
that
yeah.
you're visiting Winnipeg, you're there. You're multiple times there. Like, are the owners like, "Oh, Avrinder's here," or like, are they just like, "Oh, this one guy. I'm not sure if he lives here, but he seems to be here every once in a while for a lot."
Oh no, I mean, I just think that they forget about me, but they remember me. Like every time I come there, like, "Oh yeah, your sons must be this tall," and like, I must have made an impression. And also, I bring a lot of business there.
You're right.
Yeah, no, I mean, Uncle Auntie
You've
there.
done enough business for me to bring it up on this podcast and then broadcast it to like, hundreds.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Or watch when I go there next time. I'm just boycott. There's a photo of me with an X on there. It's like I actually get photos. Like my friend sent me from there saying, "Hey, wish you were here." And I'm like, "Why must you tempt me like this?" Because I just see all the dishes, and yeah, I mean, every time I'm there, I just have to go every single day. Like the hot and sour soup. Again, we're just talking about food now, which is fine. But what's it called? Yeah, their soup is something I've never had anywhere else before. It's like the way they make it. It's just, I'm hungry now.
Yeah. Well, I'm not opposed to talk food on this hardcore podcast because I was gonna ask what would be your okay. So you're traveling to Winnipeg for a week's worth. If it's a Monday to Friday, 5 visits, what are the choices? Do you hit multiple things on multiple days, or do you try to mix it up on multiple days? So give me like Monday through Friday, what would you eat solely at Spring Roll? For one meal of the day, I'll say that. Not like
for
breakfast, unless you want to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I'm going to hit you with 40 different options now. Like pretty much I'm like a 4 or 5 trick pony where I just get the hot and sour soup, the veggie hot and sour soup. It's just, yeah, it just cleans out the sinuses. Deluxe fried rice, which is like just fake veggie ham, veggies, and then the tofu with Szechuan sauce. I'm saying it wrong, I think. And then tofu with peanut sauce. It's, yeah, those 4 things. And I don't need anything else, and then I'll just take that for leftovers. So then again, I'm pretty much having breakfast, lunch, dinner essentially, and then by the end, my body just feed me. I'm like feed me a salad maybe, but but it's like my anti-cleanse is having spring roll every day. Yeah, it's fared well so far.
Anti-cleanse. Everyone think about what's your anti-cleanse place, but that's hilarious.
For sure.
Well, and it's funny if we were just chatting about it, but I always love the serendipity of like maybe in 1, 2, 3, 5 years, there's someone that messaged the Scoped Instagram and says, "Hey, my band, was going through Winnipeg. We played a show. I checked out that spring roll place that I heard on the podcast years ago, and oh my god, it's amazing." So I'm banking off like that one potential instance off of being able to talk about it. So
for sure.
If you're in Winnipeg, whether for hardcore or not, spring roll, Notre Dame, you will not be disappointed.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like if you're not hitting a spring roll, then what are you doing with your life? No. I mean, like it's. I know I talk, but also locally in Vancouver, there's a place called Green Lettuce, which also scratches that itch. It's just Chinese food. It's not. There's no like vegan menu, but it's the Vancouver version of spring roll essentially. Green Lettuce, and all my friends have heard me talking about it, but for a good reason.
Yeah. But if you put those places head to head, like who are you siding with?
Spring roll.
Of course. Yeah. I was testing you there. I was testing to see where your loyalties lie.
So now I'm banned from Green Lettuce.
Yeah. We've banned you from both unintentionally.
I made my choice.
Yeah. No, I think it is really dope for people to plug the food spots that they really love, because that's the beauty about touring as well. When you're in a hardcore band, is you're trying to get after those like local spots that are like really, really good. So if you need an extra reason to take your band to Winnipeg, aside from playing a dope show, to a dope scene, spring roll.
Spring roll is yeah. Please send us gift certificates. No.
Yes, spring roll. If you're listening, please hook it up. We'll do a little contest
because they are.
Yes.
No.
I'm waiting for the Poison Seeds spring roll collab spoof shirt or something like that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it would be like,
just their menu on the back of the shirt.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's funny because I actually tried to get a photo shoot with them to exchange for just gift certificates a while ago. But I did, but it didn't work out because I wasn't confident enough, or I wasn't established enough. I don't know what it was, but I was hoping it would work out. But in the end, I'm like, I'm just going to give them my hard-earned cash. And then,
I feel like I would like to see that happen. I would like to see the Avrinder photography crossover with spring roll, because whether that has any, if you get a free meal or whatever out of it, that would be a full circle moment, I think, for you that I would like to see through.
I could retire then.
Yes.
I see your pop. I mean, actually, my box is just over there. So
yeah. Uh-huh. We got both of them sleeping, which is much nice, because if they're just upstairs and they're mid, there's been too many podcasts where it's just been them just barking relentlessly, and then I have to stop the show and go up. So
or you go up and they're just recording
the name of the game.
Oh, so. For sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised our new cat is not meowing at the door, but so far so good. Yeah.
Have you ever recorded and put any of like your dogs like barking on any songs that you've done?
As a joke, but we haven't released it. Yeah, I mean, like I think our previous dogs. Yeah, we had some dogs barking, and I would just kind of blend it in, and it actually worked. But no, just as a joke. I've done just orphan joke stuff where. Do you remember Frankie the Weatherman? Canadian icon. He yelled out the weather.
Oh, he's like, snowstorm coming to Winnipeg.
Yeah.
That is him. Okay,
he sounds like a hardcore frontman to a degree. And like for a short period of time, bands I record from Vancouver, I would just like as a joke send them a clip of instrumental version of their demo with him singing certain parts, and it actually fit in so well.
So funny.
But after a while, I'm like, I think this is not the best. Maybe it's not, a kosher. But no. It was hilarious. I'll have to show you some stuff down the
Yeah,
line.
please. Well, it's funny, you wearing the speed shirt. When
Mhm.
they came on the podcast and they were talking about, "We See You," which is like the single that I think inarguably like blew that band up to
Yeah.
way, way, way more people. The guy that records that band, like a lot of like the over like the clipping bass drops, the air horn, that is all stuff that
Yeah.
he would as a producer would throw on there before the approved version just to kind of like almost watermark it or just like add some goofs and gaffs. But the fact that they like included it in the final, and that, if anything, helped the song because people were like, "You're putting an air horn in a hardcore song in 2021? What's
Yeah.
going on?" So, yeah, I think the amount of things that different producers have done as a joke, but could actually be sick once it actually goes out is I think that list is endless, I think.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I don't know if we'll go through it, but one day I would love to incorporate sitar, just a little bit of a riff here or there,
Right.
just like lightly, I'm peppered in. But speaking of the speed sample, I go to a sushi place locally called I Love Sushi, cool name.
Mhm.
And whenever the door opens, like the siren or the bell sounds just like that sample. So I was think, oh, someone's listening to speed here, but no, it's just a door chime.
Oh man, that's so funny. Yeah, it's
Some
it to me that's no different than like someone that's got like a cop siren. I almost think adding a cop siren to your hardcore sound, whether it like warrants it or not, I hate it because when I'm driving, I'm just like immediately like 10 and 2. I'm looking behind me. I'm like, do I need to pull over? But it's like someone just like adding it into their music.
the band Extract, they did that for the what's it? They say emergency siren. Like for the Extract
Yeah.
demo?
There's the nuclear siren that goes
Yeah.
off for that, but
And that was cool. I mean, like that was fun. Like that always that threw my kids up in the beginning. Like, Papa, what's that? I'm like, it's okay.
Do we need to get under the table?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe flip the table, but yeah, that's
Right.
Maybe
flip
but
the table.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nuclear.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, exactly. I mean, samples that way work well, and some don't. But now movie samples you can't really have in proper releases, so it's like if when all it fails, just do a silly horn sample or something.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if that's kind of the thing where it's like the initial Endgame demo, every song aside from the intro had a sample from, anything from Fast and the Furious to like Watchmen, just like huge name, shows or movies. But if there was ever a label that maybe wanted to re-release those songs, it's like, well, can we clear the sample, or can we distort it enough where we can get away with it? That's
well, even now apparently like people have tried just saying or like just a singer saying the samples and to get around, but apparently now there's pressing plants that won't even allow that.
Yeah.
So it's no more First Blood, that band. I think demo had every song had a sample. I mean, I don't think they would be allowed anymore, but the Rambo samples, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird thing where it's like this stuff at the end of the day is still underground. So it's like, who's the big exec? But, hardcore is scaling up more and more every year.
Yeah.
And especially like post-pandemic, things have been like really, really fruitful and lively. But, there's a reason that Turnstile doesn't have any, movie samples on their music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. No samples from, yeah, exactly. But I mean, but those are always fun, right? I mean, especially like little teeny samples before a breakdown. That to me was always sick.
Oh, right.
Or even as something as silly as Angel Crew had like a dragon breathing or something before a breakdown, and that was
like blowing fire or something.
I think. I mean, false memory, but it's like someone like just grunting hard, and it sounded like a dragon to me. But that part always without it, it would just be an awkward pause or a cough.
Right.
It's like you got to have that little dragon breathing.
Right.
But
Yeah. There's definitely like I have a new band that will be dropping our demo like at the very start of 2023. But some of the
Was that the
sample,
band that was supposed to play Vancouver?
yes, that was the band that
Oh,
was
okay,
supposed to
okay.
play. So
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, we couldn't play that show. But
Mhm.
yeah, we got the last song has like 2 samples from Talladega Nights.
Yeah.
There's I think that there's maybe one other. There's like just like gunfire and just like random things. I do think that
Yeah.
there's a fine balance of like not doing it just to be like, oh, like adding just all the craziness and letting the
Mhm.
music still speak for itself. But I do think that it helps, if anything, lay up, set it up a little bit better for a big breakdown or the start of the song to help establish the vibe a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, and then, but also sometimes music just speaks for itself. But just to kind of keep things a bit nostalgic too. Samples are always fun. Like we did a sample at the end of the demo, just to kind of, you know, keep a little bit of that. And then if we actually did re-record that song, so we won't put the sample at the end of that song now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dark Clouds actually. Speaking of that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Avrinder, this has been a really, really fun chat. Like I said, like there's a lot of very serendipitous things that that were very instrumental in my time getting into this whole hardcore stuff through the Winnipeg hardcore scene, and I feel like you had a hand in that. So if anything,
Oh, thank you.
I love just being able to connect those dots, but also like sing the praises of those people that helped make the things that helped inspire me a reality. So
Awesome.
it's been
Thanks
a pleasure to have you on the show. The very last question that I ask every guest that comes on here is a favorite mosh related story that you would like to share. And so that's anything to be wholesome, gruesome. It happened to you. You just saw it happen at a show you were attending. Wherever your mind goes is how we start to wrap up.
Well, let's see. I mean, I'll make fun of myself here. I've never been much of a mosher. I've just been like an observer, taking photos to the side, and just just a casual listener.
Right.
But when Figure Four reunited the first time, Rainfest 2011, I was like, I'm super stoked. I've not seen them in a long time. I mean, I had a couple of drinks, saw a couple of things, and I was like, I'm gonna mosh with them. Whatever, I'll try it out. Why not? First few songs, I probably looked like a fool, but it worked out all good. Halfway through, I guess my kneecap got dislocated or something. I fell to the ground. My knee was just like a football, and that was the last time first and last time actually I think I've ever moshed.
Right.
So in the end, I mean, I wasn't even that old, so I think I've just always had bad knees, always had bad back. I'm not sure.
Right.
But yeah, so then I think after I missed it, but I guess Comeback Kid reunited with Scott Wade. Like right after, because I think Madball canceled. So I missed that, unfortunately, but I was at the hotel just icing my knee, and I was like, all right. So it was the positive side was, hey, I learned that I should not try that again, and and I should just stay true to what I'm going to do in the future, is take photos at gigs instead.
Sure.
But so in the end, I paid the price and learned my lesson.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes to show that there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I'm, that time is over for me, or like, I've learned my lesson. But all it takes is one band playing one riff in the right, series of, things to make that worth it. Like, okay, Sherry, hold the camera. I got to go mosh to this song or whatever.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And a few rum and cokes helped, but aside from that,
yes. Yeah. We're not saying that the rum and cokes don't help, but yeah, maybe flaw the judgment.
They enhance the feeling of my knee. Actually, I was going to say they enhanced the knee feeling bad, but
right.
And then actually, oddly enough, the next day was Sherry and our wedding anniversary. So there I was, just hobbling up the stairs and like, happy anniversary. So
you're like, I promise this won't be for next year.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll embarrass her in other ways, but not with that. At least. Yeah.
Yes, I'll embarrass you in other ways, but at least I won't be medically like handicapped to do so.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
Avrinder, all your links to your photography, your personal, and obviously Poison Seeds demo will be in the description, in the show
Oh,
notes.
thanks so much.
If there's anything you want to shout out, anything you want to plug, or anything you want to send the people off with before we go, the floor is yours, my friend.
Well, I was just gonna say thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Like you've always been so kind, and that I mean, I'm not a wordsmith, but thank you so much. I appreciate that. Just for plug, just watch out for the Poison Seed stuff coming out soon. We're having an EP in the works, and first show's in March. And yeah, I mean, I'm stoked to still be going to shows, taking photos. Yeah, I'm still learning, and to be a better dad, to be a better photographer, a better musician. So yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, no, I love that. Still here and still learning. I feel like that's something that anyone can take away who's been listening to this episode. If you're in the Vancouver or Western Canada area and you're going to be going to that show, please go check out Poison Seeds. I'm really, I'm going to be doing my darndest to do the same.
That'd
But
be awesome.
Avrinder, this has been a really fun chat, and thank you again for coming on the show.
Awesome. Thanks much. Appreciate it. Take care.